Welcome to the Revenue Café. The Revenue Café Podcast is brought to you by Breadcrumbs, the revenue acceleration platform. In each episode, we will bring you interesting conversations on all things sales, marketing, and CX related. The hope is we will help you along the path to revenue acceleration and entertain you along the way.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Revenue Café. I'm joined again by Joe Aicher, my partner in crime, who's usually here with me. Just to remind you, I'm Gary Amaral, co-founder and chief product officer at Breadcrumbs.io. And today we're lucky enough to be joined by Kanako Tone, marketing operations manager at Alyce. Did I get that right, Kanako?
Yep.
Awesome. Maybe you can tell our listeners a little bit about Kanako and what that's all about.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, sorry, about Alyce,
yeah. My name is Kanako. I'm the marketing operations manager at Alyce. Alyce is a B2B gifting solution to help sales folks and marketers to offer the personal experience via gifting during the marketing and the sales activities. Many of you probably have received like Starbucks gift card or Grubhub gift card or that kind of things, to join the webinar or maybe like sign up for XYZ. But what if you don't drink coffee? What if you don't actually like the companies of the gift card you receive? That's not personal. But our platform helps our customers to offer personalized gifting so that the moment we create is more relevant to the recipient. And I'm very fortunate to be the solo marketing operations manager here to provide the marketing experience for our prospects and customers.
That's awesome. So what kind of cool things have you seen people use your platform to send as gifts?
Yeah, actually, this is my personal experience before I joined Alyce. I think that was about like a year ago around this season. I received the gift sent via Alyce platform from some company. Sorry, I don't remember that piece, but anyway, there was already a pre-selected gift for me when I opened the gift email, but that wasn't something I was interested in at that point. But I was able to pick another thing after just one click, and I just got I think I got the board game set or something. That was like really helpful for me to get through this difficult time last year.
Wow, that's cool. So then the recipient can opt out of whatever was chosen and choose something else that they prefer.
Yes. Our platform is
cool.
infused by the AI. And we also have a research team. So based on the publicly available information, we tailor the gift that our recipient would receive. So again, if someone is a coffee drinker, but some other things, then we can tailor the gifting experience for these people.
Yeah, that's kind of neat. So Joe and I have been experimenting with, so just to lay the groundwork for first-time listeners, we talk about all things kind of sales, marketing, ops related, and tie it back to this bigger idea of revenue. So Joe and I, obviously, we're trying to build a startup. So we've been experimenting with all kinds of unique ideas, everything from sending actual literal breadcrumbs with a recipe to our prospects, to like Starbucks gift cards, Amazon gift cards. But this is kind of a neat idea because it's, super tailored to the individual as opposed to us kind of just generically picking something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And
what do you
on
think?
top of it, if the recipient doesn't want to receive a gift, then they can exchange the gift to donation as well. Now our platform is integrated with some services that covers hundreds, probably thousands of nonprofit organizations here in the US. So yeah, the recipient can also pick to donate instead of receiving something for themselves.
That's cool. So I guess my my assumption would be that your customers are kind of marketing organizations, sales organizations. Is that accurate?
Yes. The major use cases are for sales folks. So any companies that has sales department, which I believe is most of the companies, can use Alyce. We also have some use cases for the marketing side as well. For example, maybe the event follow-up or webinar follow-up, that kind of things.
Yeah.
And again, as long as a company has marketing department, they can use it.
Cool. Joe, this sounds like something that we could maybe use.
Yeah, I just finished packing up about 75 boxes of breadcrumbs and could have used some help shipping and maybe picking some things that people wouldn't necessarily not use when they got it. So that would have been awesome. But yeah, we could definitely all benefit from like not being our own shipping departments. So that would be super beneficial.
Yeah, but it's not just about the breadcrumbs. It's about the killer recipe that goes with it, right?
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So I guess, like, what stage are you guys at? Like, how long have you guys been around? How many sellers do you guys have? Like, give me a sense of the company.
Sure. The company has been around for, I think, 5 years. And I believe we have 150 or 170 people total, including from like product engineering to the typical GTM organization.
Right.
We, of course, have marketing department. And then the BDR team is under the marketing. And then we have multiple sales teams to cover the different type of companies. And then we have customer success and account managers after, landing new logos.
Right. So, but that's a decent sized company. And you joined about a year ago, and you're like the sole marketing operations kind of guru, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So are you in a building phase from a marketing ops perspective? What did you inherit some stuff and now you're optimizing? Like where are you at with that?
I would say it's between these two stages. We are still a young company, so we are still building up our marketing motions or GTM motion in general. But also, this is not the first year of the company. So, of course, we have some historic knowledge and activities that we can just reuse this year and optimize further.
So that sounds like a really kind of decent sized organization, 150 people. But you joined a year ago, and it sounds like you're like the only marketing operations kind of guru. So are you in a building phase? Are you in an optimization phase? What does that look like for you?
I would say we are in a position of somewhere in between. This, of course, the company has been there for 5 years, so it's not like a complete clean slate anymore, but there are a lot of room for improvement. And I'm very excited to be here as a sole marketing operations person to bring my knowledge and expertise from my previous experiences to optimize the MarTech stack and workflow and data hygiene and all other fun stuff around marketing ops to the next level.
Right.
Now, were you the first marketing ops person that joined the company, or was there somebody before you? So is this like a brand new position for the business?
Yes, this is actually a brand new position for Alyce. Actually, before I joined, the company started building up the revenue operations team. And I'm the first one from the marketing perspective to join the team as well.
That's awesome. What was there some kind of unique challenges you felt like with having it a brand new position? Were there like different initiatives you had trouble kicking off, or were they pretty open to just new ideas with you coming in and starting this position?
They are really open for new ideas or my suggestions. I really appreciate that part. Having said that, working under the revenue operations team has different flavors compared to my previous roles. I've been always reporting into the marketing, and I was helping to put together campaigns and cleaning up the data, all things, pretty much like anything that falls on me, I was almost like order taker. But now that as a part of the revenue operations team, I need to level up myself to take on a strategic role than just putting together campaigns for the marketers. So that's definitely a really drastic change for me, but it's fun.
So like functionally, what has that meant, right? This shift from more, tactical facilitator for a marketing organization to like strategic contributor to a RevOps organization. What are some of the kind of big changes in what you're doing?
Yeah, sure. So previously I was doing the campaign operations as well as platform operations. And then depending on the companies I was in, the team didn't really afford to have a designated person for the marketing analytics. So that sometimes came under me as well. So I was basically juggling everything. And sometimes I joke with the Alyce team, but in some company, I was also running the event marketing and the social media marketing on top of marketing operations. So my focus has been like all over the place, like probably a million different directions all the time. While at Alyce, I'm at the revenue operations, so I can focus on more strategic things. Like, for example, what needs to be done to make sure that our database is really clean as possible so that the conversion would be much higher down the road. Like that kind of like baseline things were something that I wasn't always able to fully commit to do in my previous roles, because every day, every hour, I had some like campaigns to put together, or sometimes like fire drills, that kind of things happen. But
right, yeah.
I still get it, but it's slightly different situation.
Yeah, we're an early stage very early stage startup, so we're very familiar with the concept of fire drills, right, Joe?
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, and without, a big RevOps team, necessarily to go handle a bunch of systems and tools to fix all that stuff. So we're all basically chipping in, right, and doing different things. I don't think like a single functional team here really has that one function that they're handling at any one time. So we're all very familiar with that.
So now that you're kind of part of this RevOps team, and focusing on building this more strategic approach, making sure all these baseline elements are in place, you can have more reliable reporting. Hopefully the efficacy of the campaigns are higher because it's cleaner data. Have you seen a shift in how you guys approach, how you collect data, where you buy data, how you store data, and the related technologies that go with that? Or is it just a matter of like how you're approaching it
now? I would say it's more on the latter, how to approach it. Eventually, it's just a matter of like a process and standardization. And on top of it, we need to document everything so that everyone follows the same order, basically, how to get the data, which doesn't always mean that how to collect the new leads, but also how to put together the campaigns, how to track maybe UTM, everything else. Because at the end of the day, we want to analyze data, but analyzing the data is like a cooking. If you don't get the good ingredient, the outcome is not that great. It's not going to be a great dish. So it's really important to farm the ground, have a right, soil, and grow a nice tomato. And I always say tomato for some reason.
Right. Yeah. That's all right. I love bacon and tomato sandwiches, so that's a good one to choose. So one of the things that we do at Breadcrumbs is we leverage data that already exists in companies to find hidden revenue opportunities, right? To find leads that may have fallen through the cracks on the acquisition side, to identify customers in your install base that might actually be ripe for an upsell opportunity or a cross-sell opportunity. And one of the things that we keep telling our customers, because I firmly believe it, and I think as a business we do as well, is that there's no such thing as perfect data. there's no such thing as complete data. Data is in a constant state of flux, and using what you have is more important than waiting for it to be perfect. I would love to hear your point of view on that kind of philosophy.
Yeah, that's a big topic, isn't it? Yes, I totally agree with you that there are no like 100% accurate or perfect data, and it's all on us, each of us actually, to strive to keep things clean and more accurate. But like my dad always told me, there's nothing like 100% one way or the other in this world. But it doesn't necessarily mean that we cannot trust data or we shouldn't look at the data. Data is really insightful, and that's why people look at the reports. But what's most important actually here is the reason behind that. Like why we care about certain things. Why are we looking at this data? What kind of hypothesis are we trying to prove or maybe disprove? And without that question, maybe some data, like say like bar chart like this, like growing up, great, but is it really great? What are we looking for? Are we actually trying to grow like 10x and then the growth is only 2x? Then that's not the good growth, right? So
Right, yeah.
it's matter of like why and what before going into how.
Yeah, 100%. I think I'm going to butcher this, but there's some saying about like there's lies and statistics, and they're basically the same thing. But when it comes to data and numbers, really like how you choose to put them together, how you choose to interpret them, leaves a lot of room for interpretation. But I think the underlying premise that we're both agreeing on is data is inherently valuable. It's in this constant state of flux, right? So we start as a company, maybe we just collect email addresses because we really want to make it super easy for people to sign up, and we know next to nothing about them. And then maybe we add a couple more fields, and now we start to know more about the people that are signing up. And then maybe we enrich with a third-party data provider. Now we know a little bit more information. And every step of the way, we're getting smarter and more insightful, and we can ask better questions, and we can look at it from multiple angles. But if we were constantly waiting for that end state where we have, all of the attributes against the record that we want, and it's 100% completion rate for every record in our database, we would be waiting forever. And I think a lot of people fail to realize that, and they're constantly waiting for their data or their tech stack, right? Which is another kind of area where people are like, oh, my tech stack's a mess. I use this platform for this, and I use this platform for that, and they're not connected. And well, I've worked at companies that are making hundreds of millions of dollars and have thousands of employees, and their tech stack still looks like that. So if you're going to be waiting, you're going to be waiting forever.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
So true.
Yeah.
We have to compromise at some point, right? And then that, I would say compromising it, but it's just another way to say let's put some assumption, like assuming X is this much accurate or Y means Z, then we can see the data in this way or that way, which brings down to conclusion A, B, and C. Yeah, it's all about storyline. Opinion.
For sure. So since we're talking about data and tech stacks, one of the questions I like to ask people is like, what are their top 3 pieces of tech that they feel like they just couldn't do their job without? Like, what are the 3 tools that you just think are crucial to most businesses?
That's a difficult question because there are so many data tools with different angles.
Yeah, it could be data, it could be marketing tools, it could be sales tools. Just like, what are the 3 pieces of technology that you think are like super important to any company?
To me, Salesforce has been a big one all the time because that's where the marketing and the sales meet, so to speak. And maybe I just happened to grow up in this kind of like a marketing operations way, but Salesforce has been always a single source of truth in my life so far. So that's like the biggest like baseline to me. Yeah. But the Salesforce is not perfect. Like, I'm talking about Sales Cloud, by the way. It's not perfect. It doesn't track certain things that maybe the marketing platform like Marketo tracks much better, like email tracking and much more, narrow scope things sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, taking 3 this.
So speaking of speaking of Marketo, do you have a favorite marketing automation platform?
I guess I have to say Marketo because that's the only one I use so far.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm very loyal.
I find that, clearly, Marketo, Salesforce, those are kind of go-to solutions. I find marketing automation is a funny space where people are very kind of loyal to the one that they've either come up on or that they've spent the most time on, regardless if like there's actually a better solution out there. I happen to be one of those, weird technical marketers that I'm agnostic. HubSpot, Marketo, if you're a smaller company, even Autopilot, right? Like there's different tools for different scenarios. And I think I personally think it's more about the craftsman, the person using the tool and them using it to its fullest ability than the tool itself.
Yeah, at the end of the day, what do we want to accomplish with these tools, right? The tech tools are just enabler for the great strategies we put together. And
100%.
For some case, market might be the answer. It could be HubSpot or Pardot or Eloquor, whatever, or maybe homegrown one. Who knows?
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think that's a really smart insight. Like I think a lot of people think tools solve problems. Tools don't solve problems. Often they actually create more problems than they solve. It's really about the operators and how they use those tools to attack an objective, right? The tool itself, you can buy a hammer, it's not going to build you a shed, right? Like you need to get the nails, you need to get somebody that knows how to swing the hammer, you need to cut the wood. Like it's not about the tool, it's about the person wielding the tool, for sure, in my opinion. Joe, what do you think?
Yeah, I think, I've jumped personally between Salesforce, between Marketo, between HubSpot, and every time, every company, you just end up needing to adapt anyways, right? And you still pretty much have a lot of the same goals, understanding your data, who your customers are, what journey they're on, and, they're all capable, and it just comes down to like, adapting your skill set around new tools and just aligning them with how the business, is like what they're trying to achieve. So I'm pretty agnostic when it comes to, which one you prefer. Like I've admin Salesforce before, I've admin HubSpot before, I've admin, several other ones, and, you just make it work for the business, and try not to feel restricted as much as possible by what they can or can't do. Yeah,
I agree entirely. In terms of, so we're talking about tools and how we use these tools to solve problems. Kanako, have you seen like common obstacles or common challenges across your career that they just seem to be the problem that everybody's facing at every company? Or are you one of these people that believe that like every company has their own unique special problem? Like how do you see that view of the world?
That's a great question. I think we can sum up to a couple of common programs or challenges with like some different flavors. And one of those that is probably related to here is that shiny object syndrome.
Yeah.
So the marketing people, doesn't matter like it's a specialist person or manager person or director or CMO, or sometimes just see some like cool thing and try to get it.
Yeah.
And sometimes that kind of purchasing decision happens without marketing operations people who end up connecting everything and building up everything and training people. So that's a common challenge. Yeah. And then that challenge is actually related to the previous point of mine, that is like why and what before how. Like getting a tool is like how piece, in my opinion. Without why and what,
sure.
That ship doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, no, I agree. And you know, having led operations teams at various companies throughout my career, that's one of the most frustrating things, right? Like somebody either on another team or higher up the food chain learns about some new tool or some new strategy, and you know, the ship is going in a direction. All of a sudden, you're being asked to change direction, but you're not exactly sure where or why or how. I think that's one of the things that frustrates operators more than anything. Not to say that I'm averse to adopting new technologies or trying new strategies. It's just like, it shouldn't be for the sake of that. There should be a bigger driving force behind it.
Yep.
Cool. Well, listen, I guess one other thing that I think our listeners would be super interested, given, you know, your background and your focus on ops, is, you know, what's this kind of biggest, I like to use the word epiphany, but the biggest like realization or biggest kind of aha moment you've had in your career as an ops person? Either something that you went into this work having like a preconceived notion, or just something that you've come across in your career. Anything that comes to mind?
Yeah, sure. When we talk about operations in general, or maybe like when I talk about data, like people may think like what I handle is like just technical things or data or crunching spreadsheet, that kind of things. Probably, you know, stuck in like a tiny little cube in the office and not talking to people. But the marketing operations actually totally opposite. Well, of course, we need some technical skills or, you know, spreadsheet tips and tricks and that kind of things to, you know, get things done. But at the end of the day, what really helps us to be successful is people skills, like how to make alignment with stakeholders, how to put the business process into place so that we can train people to go through a certain process so we can standardize and scalable. There's so many like people pieces that I didn't know when I started marketing operations. I honestly was thrown into marketing operations without really fully knowing what it entails. And I thought like, oh, it's cool. I can touch so many tech tools and I can do spreadsheet. But, you know, I've been in a marketing operations role for 5 years, 6 years almost. And the longer I'm in this role, in these roles, like I learn more that, oh my gosh, I have to manage people, talk to people, align with people. Otherwise, whatever I end up building, either it's a tiny piece of like, you know, workflow in Marketo or like a bigger, like, you know, reporting and dashboard, that kind of things, it's not going to be used. It's not going to go anywhere. And what's the point of me putting effort into?
Right. Yeah, I think we're building a tech company. I think every tech company tries to deliver experience that feels almost like it's magic, right? We're trying to reduce the amount of work that an individual has to do to get an output that, you know, in the past has been super painful or super hard. But like every step of that journey, right? Tech tools are getting better. ML, AI is becoming more prevalent, and those technologies are actually starting to you know, create stuff that surprises people, which is cool. But ultimately, it's still people that drive businesses, right? And it's still people that make decisions about technology. It's still people that pose those questions. And it's still getting other people to get on board with how you think or what your point of view is or what your strategy suggestion is. And that's an important part of every kind of job, I think, right? There's clearly exceptions, but in business, this ability to interact with people, articulate your point of view, get them to see your point of view, is like a massive part. I'm just wondering, like, did Alyce pivot to more remote as a result of what's happened over the last little bit? Have you guys always been a remote company? Are you guys in the office? And how has that affected this, like, the personal aspect, the interpersonal, the communication, that kind of stuff?
Yeah, sure. Well, I joined Alyce during the pandemic time, so I'm not quite sure how it was before pandemic. But I think we are kind of getting into the situation of sort of like hybrid model. I guess I don't think we have like clearly decided yet, but since I joined like a half year ago or so, like we had more and more people hiring from outside the Boston area where we have headquarters in. Because of COVID, all the meetings have been Zoom, as we all know. So of course we still need some like in-person human interactions, but I think we already transferred a lot of like pieces in the work to be virtual and still productive.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it's like, have you found it, I assume your previous company was more like traditional in the office type of environment. Is that accurate?
My previous companies were more like in office environment. So I used to see my, fellow marketers and the CMOs, those people in the office. So that's definitely quite different dynamics than, from what I've been experienced here.
Right.
As well. I mean,
so have you
there's
found
no water cooler.
Right. There's no water cooler. Yeah. So have you found you have to like, shift your approach or like try different things to make connections and all the things that you would do in person?
Yes. Try to meet people that I haven't met yet in Alyce. The company also has a program to kind of like do the sort of like virtual meetup to connect the people from the different departments. Otherwise, we all would sit in a little siloed area all the time. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Awesome. Well, Kanako, I think we're nearing the end of our time. I wanted to thank you so much for, taking time out of your day to meet with Joe and I and have a conversation about, your experience as a marketing operations manager. Tell us a little bit more about Alyce. I think I think you as a guest will be super beneficial to our audience. If anybody wants to get in touch with you, any guidance on the best way to do that?
Yeah, I'm quite active on LinkedIn. I don't always post things, but I check it all the time. So you can find me. I don't think there are many people with my name, like first and last name, so you guys can find me easily.
Awesome. And then if they want to learn more about Alyce, I assume it's alyce.com, ALYCE, correct? Awesome.
Yes, LYCE.
Awesome. Joe, any parting thoughts or words?
Not necessarily, but it was awesome talking to you, Kanako, and learning a little bit more about the business and what you've been doing. So really appreciate it.
Awesome.
Thank you for having me. It was fun.
Great. Thanks again, Kanako. Thank you to everyone who's listening. We'll be coming back to you with some more episodes over the next little while. Feel free to check us out at breadcrumbs.io. And again, you can find Kanako on LinkedIn or visit alyce.com to learn more about that awesome bonding platform, I think is what you guys talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks for watching the full episode. Make sure you subscribe. The social media links below. For more detailed info about what we do, take a look at breadcrumbs.io.